Good morning. Welcome to another one of these. And the crowd went wild. He's gone. He's gone. And more to the point, well, I mean, I just said to Tony there, what are we going to talk about? But there is too much material for this show. Daniel Levy's been kicked out. And what I love is of all the ignominious ways the little weasel has ruined people's lives, his legacy isn't that he stepped back to a cheering gathering of people that loved him, but he was thrown out with a black bin bag or a cardboard box with some shite in it, and nobody wants to see him again. A tremendous day for humanity and for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
Are you trying to tell us something, H?
I judge each case on its merits.
And then, lad.
And then I shoot everybody and burn everything else that's left. It's a very simple.
Don't, be very careful. Don't mention shooting anything on this podcast, please.
No, we don't want to get a ban. Yeah, so there we go. Tony, can we go live to you and say, first of all, Chris isn't here because he's having a bi-curious outage in his life and he's gone to Cyprus to find the man of his dreams. He mentioned something about this. I wasn't even listening. It would be really helpful if guests on this show gave us a heads up. Did he tell you any detail about this shower-bang he was going on?
Only that he had a suitcase full of chaps.
Fucking hell. Well, I hope he finds true love, and I hope the Polish weightlifter he's looking for is out there with his name on.
I do hear shares in Vaseline have gone up.
Well, you know, if Frank was here in written in the original Polish hand is what makes your world go around, then you know I couldn't be happier for him. Couldn't be happier. I'm not here to judge. I wish him well.
No.
Sunshine and semen and all the things he's looking for out of life,
and many cushions on which to sit.
Absolutely. So Tony, well, let's go live to you as we're operating internationally today. Although we have
you mean live on our recording?
Yeah, exactly. How do you feel?
How do I feel? Yeah, well, I think it's been way, as we know, we've said this a long time on here. Yeah, I am happy. Yes, I am happy. Obviously, he's done some brilliant stuff in terms of taking the club from a structural point of view. There's no denying that. But the expense of everything else, basically. I mean, the football has suffered as a result. 2 trophies in 25 years. Can you call that success? Absolutely not. You can't call that. So you can call it bare success at best. But you know, I don't subscribe to this view that you can build this massive infrastructure and qualifying for things is a measure of success. No, winning things is a measure of success. You could qualify for the Champions League every year. If you don't fucking win it, you won nothing, mate. So therefore, I don't subscribe to this. Oh, he's done so well for the club. You know, we won 2 trophies. He's made us regular Champions League qualifiers, which is not true. And he's made us regular competitive, which is not true. So yes, I'm glad he's gone. My next thoughts, as I've put here in my moniker at the bottom there, is it a new day or is it more of the same?
Yeah, listen, I'm listening to you there. I don't disagree with an absolute thing at all. I think we have to be wary because, and regular viewers will know what I'm going to say, that club is infected with LinkedIn hires. Yes, sir. No, sir. I want to hear more from the people that actually pulled the trigger on this guy. And I want to hear what their strategy is because we know what the strategy was with Daniel there. And that was to all genuflect and blah, blah, blah. But I want to see the new direction. I want to see the rationalization, the delivery of whatever it is they're up to. I think we're going to get something a bit more fan-centered. I think we're going to get something a little less detached from reality. You cannot underestimate. And just let me get this out of the way, because I know some of you are still, anybody wheeling out "Careful what you wish for" wins a free punch in the throat. Obviously, I'm speaking metaphorically because we don't make threats to harm on this channel, but a free punch in the throat, because that phrase is designed to stifle conversation. I've had an idea. Careful what you wish for. That you may as well say, I don't want to hear your idea. In fact, I would be more impressed with somebody who told me they didn't want to hear my idea, because at least I knew that their testicles worked.
I don't want to hear your idea.
Thank you. Look at those big bouncing boys. Douglas Bader didn't die in vain. But
testosterone ricocheting off the walls.
Damn right. We've got more bottles than we've got bottle, madam. But no, this is a great opportunity for Spurs to actually stop behaving like the Politburo and start behaving like a football club. Sorry for the language. But are we home to the key focus of this business is football. It is not ice skating. It isn't candy floss. It isn't live music. It isn't whatever else they've been peddling, because none of that stuff gets my blood pumping. None of it. I'm appreciative of the money if the money can be demonstrated to coming back to mother, coming back to the football. Because if the money doesn't come back to the football, and I've always made it really clear, yes, that's wonderful, but even if we bought a player a season, a mediocre player or something, they just needed to qualify what they were doing, and they've always had an absolute reluctance to do that. And we kept on getting beaten to death, flogged, flagellated with this business of, it's sustainability and pressures, and I look at these other people and I just roll my eyes. I'm so bored. Get these monkeys away from me, and just I would like some transparency. I would like some transparency, and I would like every single action that comes out of this club to come from a place that is pro-football. Because all the rest of it, I don't care how clever it is, how cutting and witty and edgy and blah, blah, blah. I want the football to be number one. And we've had all the danger signals all over time. Daniel Levy despised football. We had the quote from him years ago about when they were looking at Rangers and said it was an emotive thing. It was all about the margins, the returns. The genius of that man extended no further than being able to keep selling a person the same bloody seat again and again and again and again. That's what he mastered, and then he expanded on that idea. So all your Formula Ones, all your Beyoncés, you can throw them all in the bin if football isn't number one. And that's
the big question.
Yes.
Yeah, the big question is to do, or is it too dear?
Well, the joke is, of course, and this, when I first started doing this, which was over 20 years ago, why do you despise Daniel Levy? Why do you despise him so much? And despite whatever you replied, so you just want us to go bankrupt? No, I don't want us to go bankrupt.
At least I think that's the thing coming out on Reddit and all over the place this morning is, at least we haven't done a Leeds or an Everton. I mean, that is just the most facile argument you can possibly imagine, because there's plenty of other clubs who haven't gone bankrupt in that intervening period.
Well, to help you with your argument there, Tony, most of them have not. The amount of clubs that have gone bankrupt are the ones that were run poorly. You don't get a cigar for not doing stupid things. You get a cigar for doing excellent things.
Yes.
The prom queen doesn't kiss you because you're able to stand up at the end of the night. She kisses you because you're a bit of good stuff. That's how you get a kiss off the fucking prom queen. Not because you haven't drunk so much that you've soiled yourself. or you haven't soiled yourself, or whatever the thing is. The people and Reddit, you know, don't take my word for it. Have a look. It's full of Democrats from the States. These are the people that would vote Labour if they arrived off of the airport at Heathrow. I haven't got time for what they say. I daren't look at it. I daren't look at it today. But I'm very pleased to see I had a look in the Sun. I had a look in the Daily Mail, and everybody's saying the same thing, which is the truth. He was binned. Didn't walk away. Didn't shake hands with everybody. Didn't leave through the front door. He was put out with the trash. That's what happened to him. And I think that is a fitting legacy for somebody. I mean, the guy was so deranged. Quotes galore doing the rounds. That the protests were part of some crazed anti-Semitism. I mean, talk about making it up as you're going along. You know, the guy was impervious to his own actions.
Well, I think,
and it says it, and it said it all. It said it all, didn't it? When he said, "You'll miss me when I'm gone."
Yeah,
That said, I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something really bloody horrible on the way out the door. That's all that says. And this is the same guy who, for decades, has been telling us, "Don't underestimate me." Yeah, we won't underestimate you because you're a bit fucking dangerous. Don't underestimate me because I know how to burn the building down.
He has all the attributes of a supervillain, doesn't he? In a Marvel comic, in a Marvel film, doesn't he?
He has all the attributes of a short man. And I don't say this to all short men because I've got friends who are short. It's not a universal thing. But this guy had a Napoleon complex. Strutting around with his hands tied behind his back, telling people they'd rue the day. That's what he did. He strutted around telling people they'd rue the day. What a way to live. Well, he let his wife destroy the stadium. He let his son buy the wrong bloody thing, and they had to rip even more of the stadium out after it was done.
Yeah. And the thing is as well, is that the way he's portrayed himself is like he's the only one who's actually built a sustainable club. You know, I know they took it over as opposed to building it, but what they've done since has all the hallmarks of doing exactly that by concentrating on what matters, which is the football on the pitch. I'll give you two words as I often say, H. In People's Exhibit A, Milad, I give you Fenway Sports.
Yeah,
exactly that. What have they done?
I mean, you cannot. And I'm going to go back to the prom queen and the cigar and blah blah blah. But you cannot take credit for having not fucked up in an industry which is not volatile. You know, this is like, I mean, what have we got in the high street these days? Charity shops which don't pay business rates. We've got barber shops which don't have any customers. Eventually, some of these people are going to put a foot wrong and they're going to go pop. It's just very, very likely. That's the reality of it. One of these vape shops. Some of these people aren't going to pay all the money they need to into the bank and they're going to go pop. That's a volatile business. Charging people the record amount for a seat at a football match to watch a team that institutionally doesn't win anything, and people are going to go on about the Europa League trophy. Well, happy Christmas. I'm really pleased we won that thing. But we did it by winning 10 of the worst teams we played. That's why Ange Postecoglou got sacked, not because he coughed and stared at his feet and tried to start fights with everybody. We won that trophy having beaten the 10 worst teams that we played that season.
Daniel Levy's tenure, 25 years, 2 trophies.
Yeah, one where the ball bounced off Jonathan Woodgate's face, and he read about it in the paper the following day, and then this Ange Postecoglou complete screwball routine, which wasn't part of some great strategy. This is the grim reality of having Daniel Levy on the premises. If you do win anything, it's because, like I've always said with Levy, if he gives you something, it's because he doesn't need it.
Mm.
There's no charity
Yep.
with that guy. There's no charity. And we've now got sons of fans having to buy, which is so costly for kids, to find the 50, 60 quid for the membership so they can use their dad's ticket. But then he's the guy that brought StubHub into the building.
Yes.
You know, if he was running Nestle, he'd say, well, nobody put ground up glass on the baby food when I was the CEO. You don't get rewarded for not being involved in insanity.
And
that's
naming rights.
that's what
Naming
Levy
rights.
brand is.
Naming rights.
Naming rights. I guarantee you, I'm going to go out on a limb here. Not that anybody cares, but I guarantee you, naming rights will be announced in due course.
Yep.
He's been holding on and holding on and holding on. He will rather watch something die than take a reasonable figure for it. Which is why we've got
holding out. Yeah, what's the point in holding out for 20, 30 million a year and you're getting zero in income as a result of that, when someone can pay you 5 million, and guess what? You get 5 million.
Yeah. You get
It's that
5 million.
simple.
You get 5 million, and you get a bargaining point whereby, and this is the thing that he has never understood about business, you get a bargaining point whereby you can improve and then demand more. He looks at having to achieve improvement as being completely unacceptable. I'm Daniel Levy. I'm Tottenham Hotspur. I'm this, I'm that. Nobody cares. Nobody was doing business with him. I mean, I think we've done well in this transfer window, but again, I think we've overpaid for players. We've always spent money. Well, apart from the course that time where he didn't buy any for somebody for over 500 days. I mean, that was a fit of peak with Pochettino.
That was on the cusp of greatness. That was just after the Champions League final, where we can all wax about what Poch didn't do and what he should have done on that day, but that's not the point. The point here is that team was on the cusp of greatness, potentially, with just a few quality additions.
Yep.
So what does Levy decide to do? Oh, let's go and build a stadium and not sign a player for 3 transfer windows. The only club in Premier League history not to sign a player for 3 transfer windows.
Well, well, as you say, let that sink in. But don't forget, we were the only club in the world's top 5 divisions that didn't buy a club for that length of time. I mean, it was, but that was a fit of peak. He got fed up. With saying to Poch, "I'm going to give you." Poch says, "I want player A," and he says, "Well, I can let you have player C, maybe player B at a best bet." And yeah, it was a fit of peak. The whole thing is a fit of peak. But you know, these people, goodness me, I hope there's no more of them, and I hope this has been a warning shot, because very publicly, blood on the boardroom carpet with Cullen and this arsehole have gone. What she was doing in Hong Kong is beyond me. There's a handover period and there's a handover. If I was taking over from Donna Cullen, I didn't need her fussing around me while I was trying to have a Beano in Hong Kong.
Well,
because everybody, you're not doing any business there. You're shaking hands. You're meeting people. Nobody's signing anything. Nobody's structuring payments. Nobody's doing this. Your computer, all your bits and pieces are back in the office in London. It was a jolly. Let's not be afraid to say what it was. It was a jolly. And we've now got the situation. So like everything he touched had this sort of gilt-edged swagger to it, which nobody in their right mind wants.
Why is it that somebody like Donna Marie Cullen can get treated thusly? Yeah. And yet someone like Paul Mitchell, who is actually a football man, gets ceremoniously dumped out the door on a year's gardening leave. I mean, that's vindictive to say the least.
Yeah. Well, this year's gardening leave thing, which of course Todd Klein had to endure as well, because that isn't just about removing them from their THFC responsibilities. It's ensuring that they can't fucking work anywhere else. That's just nasty. That's just nasty.
I mean,
I remember
know
years ago being told that hairdressers, there was a thing that, you know, that had in their contracts that if they left a business, they couldn't operate within whatever distance for a year. And that prevented them just walking off and summarily taking all their clients with them. And I thought, well, that's quite clever. That protects the hairdressers and, you know, makes the hairdresser think twice about what their future plans might be. But Daniel Levy goes one step further. You know, he's just a nasty bit of work, and I don't like to come out with stuff like that because it's emotion. It's personal. It's not business. But good riddance to him. Good bloody riddance to him. And I think they got wind. I think they got wind of the fact that he was going to undo. Because don't forget, it wasn't his fucking money. He was an employee of Enoch. I love saying that. Past tense, was an employee of Enoch. You remember that? You remember that little bald guy who used to work here? You remember him? Yeah.
No, I don't know.
He was quite amusing when he was fucking off. I tell you, you just watch him fuck off. It was lovely.
Who are you referring to, H? I don't remember saying.
I don't remember. I never remember the names. To me, it's not personal. It's always business.
No,
but
absolutely.
But he. I think they got wind of this. You'll miss me when I'm gone. I thought, hang on a minute, you're not actually running the show here, Daddy-O. You're a hired hand, and by God, you're a very expensive hired hand. And Enoch are a big operation. They've got lots of divisions, lots of different businesses, and I think he saw himself as the absolute star of the show. And it has to be said, he became a stick with which Enoch could be beaten. And what I love, I've said this before, is I don't really care who the CEO is. I don't need to know their name. And I knew far too much information about Daniel Levy. I don't mean that in a gossipy way, but I just didn't want to know. I got sick of him really quickly.
How can somebody who professes to be a passionate, lifelong fan of the club preside? I mean, the whole thing is laughable when you state things like that. Even his statement at the end saying, I continue to be a passionate supporter of the club, bloody, 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 blah. Mate, 2 trophies in 25 years. Your legacy is Paddy Power. That's your legacy. Don't tell me about the stadium and all that sort of nonsense, because that can happen with anybody. Anybody can build a stadium. But your legacy is Paddy Power.
It would be great, you know. I mean, this is. I'm not really one for making stuff up on the spot, but of course I am. It would be great if the new guy comes in and says, well, we're actually going to sever all ties with betting companies. Betting companies ruin lives. They don't enhance anybody's lives. They're leeches. They're parasites. They just take money off of people, and it's money they're taking out of children's mouths. And if you don't understand that, you think I'm crazy, please write in less than 12 words. You should be able to surmise where I've got this wrong, and just say, so we don't need to. What they're saying is Paddy Power and all this, you go off because your money's dirty. Because your money comes from the misery of people that are too weak to protect themselves by not downloading your app. And it would be great for somebody to come in with a little bit of swagger, a bit of genuine swagger, with, dare I say it, a sense of ethics, a sense of morality, knew the difference between right and wrong. And somebody to come in and say, well, the women's football isn't doing anything, and we're going to kind of scale that back because it's just hemorrhaging money. Because he was right. It's not sustainable. That's about the only thing he's ever said, which I could agree with. But he was telling us so many things were sustainable, unsustainable. No, we just filtered it out in the end.
I think it's what is clear is what is my only. As great as it is that he's now gone. My only complaint about this is the timing. I would have preferred the timing to have been about 3 months ago, where we're sort of looking at getting a new manager in and looking at the transfer window, etc. Because I think that could have set us on a whole different course. All this nonsense we had in the transfer window with the likes of Gibbs, White, and Eze. I know Eze was probably always going to Arsenal, and we can argue that. But if someone had just had the balls to go in there and say, right, Eze, we're paying you this amount of money, Crystal Palace, we're going to give you this money right now on the spot. Here's the cash. Give us the bloody player. we'd have got him. Now, whether we agree whether Simmons is the better player and Neze is not the point. The point is about all those machinations, all those transfer deals, all those transfer windows where we suffered and absolutely suffered continuously with this ridicule of being farted over, basically. It's just not on.
I totally agree with you. And I mean, I would say that a company, a corporation, whatever, a division of a corporation, the size of Ealing, it's very difficult to get stuff done overnight. And pulling the blade out and shoving it into Daniel Levy's spine, which is what they've done, wouldn't have been a decision made lightly, and it wouldn't have been a decision made quickly. And but yes, I totally agree. I think we've lucked into getting Frank, but have we properly supported him in the window? I don't know. But the next guy needs to be mindful that we can't afford to dick about with Thomas Frank. He needs to be supported. He needs to be backed. He needs to be cherished, if I'm going to use soppy language, because guys like this don't come along every day. And it's too easy to hire a tard like Postecoglou, who was chronically out of his depth. His fan club consisted of people in Australia watching highlight reels. Hurrah, we won. Oh dear, we lost by a single goal, and all of the other stupidities that they came out with.
But he was successful at he was successful at Kookaburra testicles.
Yeah, I mean the walkabout wannabes will ever hold him close to their heart. But no, I mean the shameful decisions, and there are so many of them. I mean, I don't want to turn this into a greatest hits of fuckery, but this business of he invited the Metropolitan Police into the stadium, into the old White Hart Lane, and they made arrests. This was the first indication. It was just like Graham Linehan getting off the plane from the States or wherever he came from and being arrested for saying hurty words about women dressed as men who aren't women. They're men. They're men in lipstick being arrested by armed police. It will not stand. And the CPS threw out Daniel Levy's attempt to get... And this is where the joke comes from. He's a Jew that doesn't like other Jews.
Yeah.
He's embarrassed by his very being.
If we go back to facts, mate, if we look at facts, which is obviously what we do here, yes, there's a bit of sentiment and there's a bit of feeling involved here, because that's what being a football supporter is. It's about emotion, it's about feeling, it's about desire, it's about want to be, to have the best club, etc. Facts are 15 managers in 25 years. You ain't getting regular success with that level of management. Consistency in any business is always the key. And if you look at a football club, I know football's a slightly different animal because, people can come and go very quickly. But successful managers tend to be people who've stayed around just a little bit.
Yeah. No, I mean, he never understood, to my mind, because he approached football, like I said, he's always despised football. He always regarded football as a business that could set fire to his money and that everybody was looking to steal from him. And again, we can wheel out all sorts of stuff, but the idea that you have a cashless stadium, I can't remember the last time I used cash personally. I got a £10 note handed to me the other day, and I kind of thought, ooh, what should I do with it? Because I just don't tend to use cash. But a lot of people, they do use cash. People are still being paid in cash. But his mentality was, well, great, they can't steal it if it's going from a card to a bleep to into the bank. He's just not a nice person. He's not a nice person. And the fact that poor Chris was paying £8.50 for a can of Inches cider.
Inches cider, yeah.
I mean, I know it's London. I know you expect a little bit of daylight robbery, but I mean, I'll give you a for example. I went to the British Museum last year. I think it would have been last year, and I got a bit bored because it looked like we just wandered around looting stuff from other countries after a while. Because you go from
which is exactly what we did.
Well, exactly. I mean, it just looked like, Dave, back the van up, mate. There we go. Lovely job. Lovely.
Where's that one come from?
Oh, no, hang on. No, someone's put a sticker on this. It says China. That's a Roman emperor. But we went round the place and all the rest of it, and then I go to eat, and I thought my heart sank because I'm going to get some processed, nasty. But I got a flame grilled pizza that was as bigger than my head for a tenner. I thought it was mispriced.
I'll have to go there then. Bloody,
Honestly, I don't know what it
that.
cost to get in because I had a ticket at the time, but it was just fabulous value. And so people were saying to me, "Oh, what do you think of the British Museum?" I said, "The food was insane. I mean, I was eating this bloody thing. Like, I was clinging onto it like a refugee in the North Sea. It was just
Isn't
insane."
it free to get into the British Museum? Isn't it free to get into the British Museum?
Probably is. I'd just go there for the pizza. If I lived locally, I'd go there once a week for a pizza.
British Museum Pizza Company.
Fuck. I mean, you talk about somebody getting it right, but everything to do with Levy, you'd walk into a corporate box, and I never went, so this is going to be a turning point in my life. I'll be returning to Spurs at some point. But you walk into a box where you get a complimentary drink, and they've poured it and left it on the side.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's like going to a funeral in the 70s. Everybody has come to see Malcolm because he's dead, and we're going to give you a pound each. Soulless. There's no enjoyment there, but that was Levy. You knew that came from him. So we should be getting 38 parts from each barrel, but noticed a few inconsistencies. So we're just going to draw off the 38 parts and leave them for the customers as they come in. Fucking mental patient. Don't worry about having killed the fucking day out for the guy. You know, Mr. and Mrs. Spurs are having a day out, and they brought the young junior Spurs with them. Yeah, we've left the point to go flat over on the side there. Oh, it was only poured about 20 minutes ago. It'll be fine.
Yeah, no doubt all the foxes around the stadium will be delighted.
Well, there'll be less of them getting a bullet in the back of their head.
Exactly.
Yeah, they shot foxes. I hate to break it to you, everybody. I know, break eggs to make an omelette and all the rest of it, but the foxes were there first. And we have the technology. It costs you a little bit more in time and patience to just fucking scoop them up, put them in a box, a crate, and fucking release them on Hampstead Heath or something. Dear me,
that requires a quality that doesn't exist in
a level of compassion that you don't find in Bond villains.
Yeah, exactly.
No. I didn't like him. He had bad breath, so I just flicked a button and he fell out the aeroplane. He just dropped through the cargo hold.
Yeah. Into a pool full of mutated sea bass with lasers.
So yeah, I'm very enthusiastic. What does the future hold? I would say the future holds a Levy-free. It won't be plain sailing because it's football. And I thought there were enough I think there are enough complications in football. You don't need to add to the mix by having this tyrannical bean counter running loose. But what we won't get, and it's a pity that it took them so long to pull the trigger. What we won't get is any more of him wasting money. We won't get any more of his idiot wife, his backward son. And I say that not because I'm nasty, but they cost us a bloody fortune. They cost us a fortune. She's wandering around going, I don't like that uplighter over there. And the son's walking around going, I got the right one, Dad. No, you didn't. You've got the fucking opposite of the right thing. You're stupid because the apple never falls particularly far from the fucking tree.
All the while paying himself a record bonus for bringing the stadium a year overdue.
Every penny goes back into the football team.
That's never going to get old, man. That's never going to get old. That really
is. I think I'm going to launch my own station. Just sitting, I'll read the phone book. Just 75 Winslow Court.
I mean, we'll get you a sat-nav voice, mate, like that, shall we?
Can you imagine?
The next turning, at the next junction, turn right.
This is a very nice road. It's very sustainable.
I would,
Cretins.
although, but I wouldn't pay. I wouldn't pay the property prices here. I think they're a bit too expensive.
I'd just like to point to any cretins that have been offended by that, because we know that you're not that bad. It's just that this particular keep on hitting this bloody microphone. Or we know that this particular cretin drove us all up the bloody wall.
Just for anybody's show and beyond, just in case, for the sake of any legal proceedings that may be instituted as a result of this recording, this is called comedy, fellas. We don't really mean all of this.
But don't forget, comedy can also be about something that's true.
That's true. Exactly that. We could be sarcastic.
Yeah. If anybody needs, and if you do have any stories about Daniel Levy, unsubstantiated, the more unsubstantiated, the better. Drop them into the comment section. Email me. Get in touch. Let's put some dirt on top of this freshly dug grave, which I hope, which I hope happens. I hope happens.
Yeah, would they be right next to the Fred? Would they be right? Would they be under the patio with Fred and Rose's victims? That's what we like to know.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. You'll miss me when I'm gone. Well, I'm not feeling that vibe in the audience.
Nobody's crying today.
Nobody's crying. Jelly and ice cream, as the old phrase goes. It'll be jelly and ice cream all day today. I better have some birthday cake or something to mop up some carbs, because
he must have known as well.
This guy brought nothing. Because the idea that you're in charge, they started this business. They started Tottenham Hotspur Football Club by borrowing 20 odd million to buy out the previous lot. It wasn't even their money. This guy took out loan after loan after loan after loan, didn't get bankrupted, and you want me to do what? Stand on my chair and applaud? It's not going to happen. Not going to happen.
Great businessman, as we've always said. We've never ever denied the fact that he knows how to leverage the value of a club, of a facility, of a building, whatever it is. We've never denied that. He's been extremely good in that department, and for that he does deserve praise, because the fact that we are the 8th richest club potentially in the Deloitte money list in the world, based on the last list, is a good thing. That's not a bad thing by any means.
It is a great thing. I mean, this is the thing. Every time, and this is the thing for any youngsters watching this, anytime you have to explain something in detail, you're dicing with death. You're involving yourself in something, because nobody needs that much information about anything. So you're 8th in the Deloitte Money League. This must be an amazing football club. Yeah, it is, but that's not looking for negatives. That's trying to break it to them gently that we very rarely win anything. We frequently don't show up for games. I mean, he puts bonuses onto box office games as they're perceived by the fans, which I understand. But then, so we beat Manchester City on a routine basis, which is wonderful, because everybody's getting £5 or £10 or whatever for each goal they score. But then we play Barnet the next week and we lose 2-0 because nobody's on a rider. Because this is like how you teach a dog badly. This is what he introduces into things, bad habits. And it's incredibly disappointing, to use LinkedIn language. It's incredibly disappointing. So I just hope that the next people who come in get a grasp on why he went, because he's still a young guy. Mate, he's still a young guy in business terms.
You say come in though, mate, but they're already there. That's the thing. There's nobody's going to replace him, are they? And so therefore, the question is, the mindset of who is actually now there. That's what now counts, isn't it?
Yeah,
have they been brought in? Where when all this massive restructuring started taking place with Charrington, the non-executive director and all this sort of stuff coming in, and it's clear that he had a direct link to the children of Lewis, who have kind of instigated all of this. And he was the hatchet man, basically. He just turned around and said, "Thanks, Daniel, you're out of here. We're done now with this. We're done with the mediocrity now."
Yeah, I mean, he's the whole thing. I mean, he has over corporatized that business to within an inch of its life. All of these deals at the bottom of the webpage, go to the Spurs webpage, and at the bottom of that, I get it. I get it needs to be done. I get it. It would be foolish. It would be imprudent not to take money from Cadbury's or whatever the thing is. But that isn't the be all and end all. You could get a chimpanzee that had a moderate understanding of how a typewriter worked and get them to do that. They are coming to you. They want to put their branding on your computerized screens around the stadium. I'm sorry, I just don't see the magic and sparkle in all that.
But
I see that as the work of a cleric.
Yeah, it's average work though, isn't it? Because you think about it, you have all these little sponsorship deals, but you still can't get a naming rights deal. You know, which is like, well, why is it you can get all these sponsorship deals? Which they all add up, of course they do. You know, and it is still good business to have that, of course it is. But the one thing that that really sets the pinnacle of what sets you is a name. You know, in terms of the stadium, is the naming rights deal, because it's a massive investment by a particular sponsor or a business or whoever they are to say we want to associate our brand with your brand, and he couldn't get anybody to do it.
No, and he did it himself. He had it in house. He took it out of house. He fell out with them, a company in the West End. He then brought in but he then did it himself. Brought in Todd Klein, didn't like what he was doing, put him on gardening leave. I wouldn't say destroyed his career, but certainly he's got a big gap in his CV now, which he'll never be able to get rid of. And then he's come back, and it was him doing it again. And what a surprise! No dice, nothing's happened.
Well, Daniel Levy, unfortunately, if people are talking about legacy, we could talk about football legacy in terms of the structure of the club and the sustainability, blah blah blah. But the thing he'll be remembered for is his hubris. The fact that he thought all these people that he employed to do a specific job, he knew better than them. So if he didn't like a particular decision, potentially because it involves spending money, then he would say, no, I'm sorry, I don't agree with you. I'm going to do it this way. Well, if you're going to do that, don't fucking hire the person in the first place.
Well, he couldn't see the blunt idiocy of hiring 20 people in a row and then finding 20 reasons to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Because at some point you had to turn around and say, but you fucking hired him.
Yeah.
What secret deranged thing was there about this person that you didn't discover in the due diligence in the interview? And for so many occasions we heard that Daniel Levy had personally involved himself in something or other, and he screwed that up. You know, I mean, there will be people going berserk listening to this. Well, do you know what? I don't have the charity in my entire being to help you through these difficult moments in your life. The guy was a cretin. He was incredibly avaricious. He paid himself through the bloody eyeballs despite results. And he hand signed on goat skin or whatever the thing is, a piece of parchment to Paddy Power and said, would you like to take photographs of my bottom?
Yeah.
He was responsible for that. And like I said, you've got a major UK betting company using us as a urinal. And that all came from Daniel Levy. And I'm not interested in even debating it with anybody because that never happened before. No other football club gets the dog's abuse that we get. He is the embodiment of Spursy, which is
we get slapped. We get slapped more. We get slapped more by Paddy Power than a dominatrix slaps a client. You know.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, you could argue that. Oops, there we go. You could argue that he had the deft touch of Peter Sutcliffe when it came to that. But
I thank you.
But he's just he's just a menace, and he's gone. And if he's your mate, you little people out there, if he's your mate, he's one of your lot, and he's down the road, and we'll never see him anywhere else. Nobody's going to be queuing around the block to hire him because he's a fucking maniac. I mean, like I said, I didn't want to do a list, but there's an endless list of stuff that he inflicted on us that didn't work, that was anti-football, exploitative, and quite frankly, degenerate.
Well, there's two. There's the one thing in particular for me that is an overwhelming, how should I say, moment of shame is the Yido thing, the Yido chant.
Yeah.
That to me is beyond that. He should have gone then. He really should have gone then, because you can never live that down, as far as I'm concerned. That is that was beyond disgraceful.
But between him and Cullen, they it's the old Arthur Daly line. I saw a window of opportunity and I jumped out of it. But I mean,
Mm.
they seized every opportunity that came across their desk to do the wrong thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
And
mean, like the
it was
video went viral of that autistic kid making a joke about a bowl of rice. A bowl of rice. That's what the joke was. That was the joke, that Chinese or Asian people eat bowls of rice, and they banned him on the spot, only to discover that he was actually autistic, and they should have done something about stopping the video going viral, or just put a note out on the thing and said, look, we understand a supporter of ours caused offence, but he's autistic. Because you don't start screaming at some child that's having a fit in a supermarket if they've clearly got epilepsy. You say that child is epileptic, so whatever they do within reason is because of their condition. You
Well, a
don't
basic
ban them
human
from
being, H.
every Tesco's in the UK.
Absolutely. But a basic human being, and you see this often, and I do it, and I'm sure you do, is if you see someone who is in quite a lot of distress, whether they've got autistic son or what have you,
Yeah,
you say,
yeah,
"Are you all right, love? Is there anything we can do? Do you need any help?" You see, it's not
yeah.
about you, but if I see somebody struggling, they've got 3 or 4 kids and they've got massive bags of shopping and what have you, God knows what, and they're having a right old time of it. They're standing at the checkout, or what have you. I'll sort of say to them, "Do you need any help? Are you all right?" That sort of thing. And none of the time they go, "Yeah, thanks," and they just move on. Great, no problem. But that emotion, that button doesn't exist in him.
No, and but you see again, the way that they've done this, and I know this may sound like double Dutch to some of you, but if you're going to hire people on the bare minimum wage whose English isn't their own first language, and give them very tight instructions on how they're to interact with the public, you are going to achieve bad results.
Mm.
And I just found the whole reign of Daniel Levy utterly depressing. And it isn't
Well,
a question of, well, if you're so clever, well, I'll tell you what, give me the money and I'll show you how really fucking clever I am. I'll blow your mind because my brain is the size of a fucking container unit. You've got a mind the size of a pea. You're defending a guy who's indefensible, but they got everything they went near, they got wrong. Sacked Martin Yol at half time. That was a watershed moment for football for the wrong bloody reasons. Delayed opening the stadium. And we're talking about Brexit. Do me a favour. We haven't got Brexit through anywhere in this country. Nowhere, because the civil service are all lefty and they didn't want it. This isn't up for debate. I mean, I just find the whole thing, and having a photograph taken with Sadiq Khan and all of these wretches. There are ways of doing things, and you don't need to be the Viking charging up the beach with the cutlass drawn in everything, but you can present yourself. And that was the thing; they had no clue when it came to the optics.
And that's the key, mate. Every time you think it was potential to do something great, he would make a decision which would A, be unpopular, and B, be the wrong decision. We all know the kerfuffle, and it's been mentioned many times around the businesses around the stadium when it was being built, like Archway Steel, etc.
Don't get me
You
started.
know, exactly, and that's the thing. And the thing is that a lot of people say, "Oh, you're only ever concentrating on all the bad things." Blah blah blah. Look what he's done. Blah 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 blah. That's fine. That's fine. I understand that argument, and I do understand that argument. However, tell that to the people who owned Archway Steel. Tell that to the businesses around the area that got absolutely bumfucked because he decided that he wanted his little trophy. He wanted his dominion over that. That for me is what is more of his legacy than having a sustainable club. That
He
to me
create
is irrelevant.
He created a culture where it was okay to chuck a match into a man's business.
Yeah.
That was the size of an old garage that you'd see down a side street in London.
I wouldn't at say. I wouldn't just say allegedly. Allegedly.
Well, no, there was somebody definitely threw the match. I'm not saying it was Daniel. I don't think he'd have the
Yeah.
gut to do that himself. But somebody thought to themselves, I'm doing the right thing, and flicked the match at whatever they did, or threw the bottle of petrol, or whatever they did. Somebody thought that they were doing the right thing because of the culture that he created.
Yeah.
And all of the other businesses that were whipped, lassoed up. I mean, talk about Kristallnacht, you know, the night of the broken windows. This guy, and I know it's emotive when we use language like that, but let's not kid ourselves. He wasn't building an eye hospital for children. He wanted to sell hot dogs and cans of beer at £8.50. You could buy a box of the fucking things for £10 in any supermarket. And he wanted to charge £8.50 a can.
And I bet you today, there's going to be a group of owners on the other side of the pond, all going, "See you later, motherfucker."
Well, I tell you something. This is the other thing which nobody likes to talk about because we're all shouting about the happy things. But like I said to you, I'm going to take the Tim Sherwood approach to this. Were you responsible? Were you? I'm going to shag your girlfriend. But what were you responsible for the doom and the death, the demise of Daniel Levy? Well, I'd like to say I had an hand in it. I got calls, I got communications from two people in two separate coasts in the United States of America, and they didn't use the same language, but they both gave the same message, that he walked into the NFL and he took a shit on the boardroom table. These guys have got more money than God's dad. These guys are the top of the tree when it comes to making money. And he went in and told them how it was going to be and what a brilliant thing he got for them. And they couldn't fucking believe it. That's why we only get 2 games a year. That's why that deal has never been enhanced, and it was only recently bumped up for an additional year. I would be fascinated to see the mood music change around this football club now he's gone. And I think you'll see a greater commitment from the NFL. I think you'll see naming rights. And I think, because I have a sense of belief. I'm not a child. I'm not heading down to the mosque with my flip-flops over my shoulders. But I have a sense of belief about Thomas Frank. And I think that Spurs will start winning trophies again. And all that dirty language about being a cup side, as if that's like saying, well, you know, I get involved in a little bit of grooming gang work at the weekends. I think that'll go. And winning trophies would be a natural consequence of this guy leaving the building. I don't think I'm overstating any of this, because this is all stuff that he has fought against his entire career. And he's been enormously rewarded for it.
Wouldn't it be lovely and ironic now, right? Because obviously, with all this thing over Eze, the Goonerati were all out in force going and all this sort of stuff. When everybody knew that Eze wasn't serious about coming to Spurs, yeah, we wanted him, of course we did, and he would have been a great signing. I'm not going to deny that.
Absolutely.
But they've been giving it large, so we've been giving it back, quite rightly saying, man, how many European trophies have you won recently? That would be none. Bottlers FC and all this sort of stuff. Wouldn't it be lovely? Wouldn't it be absolutely almost a perfect, delicious meal of a moment if this suddenly happens, this change suddenly happens, and within a couple of years they're where they are, but actually winning it?
I don't think it's impossible, because once you change the culture, you change the direction. Jumping up and down saying that you're going to change the direction is all very well and good and can give everybody a little bit of a feel-good smile. But you need to change the culture of a business. I've worked for businesses that had sucky cultures. Terrible, terrible, terrible cultures. People would come in the morning and work out who it was that they were going to performance manage out of the door. And once to try and turn that around, to try and make a case to keep those members of staff safe and well and cared for, because there is a duty of care in my book. I'm not a communist, I'm not a Marxist, but there's a duty of care that didn't exist with this lot. And maybe some wise and worldly person will tell me that ENIC Worldwide behave like that and they just don't care. But I've worked for sucky businesses, and I can tell you, this is a sucky fucking business. Nobody's going to tell you they work for Tottenham Hotspur because A, they'll get the piss taken out of them because of the whole Paddy Power thing, and B, we all know you're on minimum wage because we don't even pay our footballers the going rate.
And of course, when the government had the furlough scheme, he was one of the first people to dip his hand in the trough for that, wasn't he? Of course,
of course he did, because he'd been so far up Ian Duncan Smith's access all areas, it became a natural reaction. Well, I've got all these politicians in my pocket. I'll pull one of them out and tell them to write me a check. It became the most natural thing to do.
But that was his default stance, wasn't it? Money, money, money.
You give him opportunity, you give him choice, and he'll make the bad decision.
Yep.
That's the way he works. Absolute cretin. So
to me, H, the way I view this, I mean, we could go all day. I know we're not going to go all day, but we could. To me, success wasn't an ambition. It wasn't an aim. It was almost an indirect consequence of what he did, as opposed to an actual target. He lucked on success in terms of the 2 trophies that we won.
Absolutely. To me, he had all the business acumen of a scratch card winner. And instead of just going fucking home and telling the lottery company that he'd won and phoning them up and he'd stand outside the shop all bloody day, waving the thing around, going, "What a clever little man I am. What a clever little man I am." No, mate, you went in there, you gave them a £2 coin or whatever the hell it was, and you've won £1 million. There's no talent required.
So what do we think then, mate? I know we're looking at the time and everything, but in terms of like how this actually happened then, so what's your view on that in terms of how this finally came to pass?
I think that this has come from the Lewis family. I understand that to be the case. Unsubstantiated rumours abound. I guarantee you it will come out because some people in life like to be looked on favourably. So it's like, who started the fire at the Bond villain centre? It was me. And I think that they got sick of him. And you can only imagine what a deeply unpleasant human being he was to be around. I mean, they always say, you watch the trailer for a movie and you're going, those are the good bits. And then there's like, hang on, where's the good stuff? Where's the really witty repartee and the explosions and the machine gun? No, that's kind of how it is. And I think what we got when he was talking to Gary Neville, where you've got 2 extremely wealthy but uninitiated, untalented men talking about building, it was charmless. That whole dialogue was utterly charmless, because I'm thinking, but what do you know about girders? What do you know about windows? What do you know about flooring? What do you know about the weight distribution on beams and blah? Oh no, this is stuff that people who went to beam school and window school told you along the way. All of your knowledge is anecdotal stuff that the people you met dropped on the floor while they were talking to you.
I'd equate his knowledge to flat earthers. Yeah, that's the way it is, isn't it? It's the I've looked on the internet and I found this bit, so it must be true.
Yeah. No, he doesn't offer anything. I mean, he's been a fantastic, and I mean this, truly fantastic leverager of money. I mean, he's pulled off. I mean, he even said, I mean, this was the killer for me in that interview with, I think, it was with the one with Gary, what's his name, Neville. And he said, "Oh, we just lucked into the interest rate being that low," because you can't control a fucking market. let's not kid ourselves.
I bet he would if he could.
Of course he would. Who wouldn't? But he lucked into getting this historically low rate and stretched over to the end of time and blah, 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 blah. And there you go. He lucked into it. The scratch card win analogy comes back to the fore again.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the 2 trophies are very much scratch card wins, aren't they?
Yeah, well,
Let's put it that way.
especially in the manner of it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not piddling over everything Spurs have done over the last 25 years. I'm talking about one man, and the win against Chelsea was against the Chelsea run of form, and we got a lucky goal. I'm not taking anything away. I'm just describing what I sat and watched.
Mm.
And as again, the Europa League win was again wonderful. Wave at the bus, hold hands with Tony, give him a big kiss and a cuddle when you're jumping around in the stands. But the reality is,
I was there. I was there.
I can tell you that. I tell you that for nothing. But the reality was that we beat 10 really shit teams to get there.
And in one of the worst finals, probably in living memory.
I mean, I really struggled to stay awake. Now, there will be heroes in the audience who will tell us how they couldn't sleep for days of the wonder, of the majesty, the glory. It was a shite game of football.
Oh, 100%.
And for us to win that, congratulations and all that. But you've then got Dickweed there staring at his face going, yeah, well, mate, I said to Puskas and Puskas said to me. At that point, I was suicidal. And the reality is that even Daniel Levy canned his ass shortly afterwards because it wasn't a redeeming enough feature of his tenure as the manager.
I think for me, if I wanted to sum this all up, I'd sum it up in a phrase from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So long, and thanks for all the fish.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope that one of those pesky little bones doesn't choke you and have you in A&E being shaken upside down while all the cougarans fall out of your socks. So Daniel Levy, you came, you saw, you didn't really conquer anything, and most people think you're a bit of a cunt.
Yeah, Veni VD, no VC.
Yeah, Veni V. I come back for the VC on next week, mate. We'll have a look for you.
Once I got a naming rights deal.
Naming rights. So there's the predictions. The predictions from the horsemen of the apocalypse.
Peanut gallery. The peanut gallery.
Thank you very much. Naming rights, trophies, feel good factor. Can't go wrong. And I understand from a very good source. Swimming hats are flying out of local corner shops as people want to remember him just how he was. Right, thank you very much, everybody. Let us know how much you loved Daniel Levy in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe. We're doing very well on that front at the moment. We love you lots, but we hate him with all of our hearts. That's it for now. Good luck. Keep it on.